Hey, solos. So, what is Disney bounding, and how can Disney bounding, both in and out of the parks, help you access your own solo magic? Well, solo spoiler, Disney bounding is actually an excellent way, both in and out of the parks, to access your solo magic because you are referencing Disney stories, Disney characters through the different things that you wear. And I think it's extra special for accessing solo magic because sometimes it's just for you, and having that little bit of Disney secret that you're wearing can really bring a lot of joy to your day. And I speak from experience with this. Hi, everyone. It's Samantha. All of may not know who Samantha is, but now you do. And welcome to Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. In this episode, as a way to kind of think about Halloween as well. I know not all of you are going to be at Disney World in Halloween, but maybe you can bring Disney World to your Halloween and to your Halloween week by Disney Bounding. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about the concept of Disney Bounding, how you can do it both in and out of the parks, and to kind of think about how there aren't as many rules as one might think, and how that should be really, really exciting. I don't know, I feel like sometimes people think there's so many rules when it comes to Disney bounding, and there really isn't. Like, everyone's just making it up as we go along. I've already actually done a bit of an episode about Disney bounding because one of the first solo stories I did was with DisneyBound Solo. She's available on Instagram. She is amazing. And we were going to talk actually for this episode, but I didn't get my act together to schedule a time when she was free. So that is on me. But actually, DisneyBound Solo, and make sure, again, you go and follow her. You go check her out. The link to her account on Instagram and on Threads is in the description of this episode below. She's actually going to be at Disney World for Halloween. So again, make sure you go follow her. She's amazing. And I apologize that she's not on this episode, but we talked about Disney bounding during that solo story. So make sure you listen to that one if you haven't already listened after you listen to this episode as well. It was a great conversation with her. One of the just wonderful people that I've been able to connect with through doing this podcast. So that's excellent. Make sure you follow me also on Instagram. My Instagram handle is down below, as well as my links to Threads and Facebook, but Instagram is the best way to get in touch with me. Please make sure you follow and subscribe and share this episode with others. This is actually a great episode to share with others, if I do say so myself, because if you know people who are interested in Disney bounding, it doesn't actually have to be about Disney solo travel. So it's actually a great episode to promote to other people in the Disney community. And then after they listen to this episode, but maybe also just know about the podcast, they can be like, oh, Disney solo, huh? I think I'm going to check that out. Once you go solo, you'll never go back. All right. Preamble done? Yes, I think so. Let's get into it. All right, so Disney bounding. So some of you know that I do history work, I do academic work, which means I can't help but research. I also can't help citing things, and I've actually tried in this podcast to not cite things quite as much as one would when one is writing something. So I hope you appreciate it because I don't know, listening to a podcast with a lot of footnotes, I think would be pretty annoying. But anyway, I did do some research for Disney bounding because I think it's actually important when people are thinking about what Disney bounding is to understand where it came from. So Leslie Kay in 2001 wrote a blog post where she was like, if Rapunzel was a real girl, what would she wear? Because Leslie Kay was bound, she was on her way to go to Disney. She was Disney bound. She started creating these different outfits and looks about what she was going to wear when she was at the park. And when she was thinking about being in the parks, she really wanted to reference particular characters and reference particular Disney ideas in the clothes that she was wearing. And so this is how this notion of Disney bound came about, because she's like, I'm on my way to Disney. I am Disney bound. So these are going to be my outfits. She coined the term first in 2011. However, she wrote and published a book in 2020 that was called DisneyBound, Dress Disney and Make It Fashion. And again, it starts with this question about what would Rapunzel wear if she was a real girl? And so definitely check out her work if you are interested in like the history of some of this and the kind of inspiration that Leslie had in creating this idea of Disney Bound. But I don't think she ever meant for it to be like this phenomenon that it is right now. I think that it was part of her like planning on going to Disney, and people really like that idea because I think like, I'm someone that's kind of in my professional life, I'm someone that's quite a showy dresser, if I do say so myself. I remember being at a conference once and there were these two men sitting at a table and they were pointing at me, and I like marched over to them and I was like, "Why are you pointing at me?" They're like, "Oh, sorry, we just recognize you from walking around a campus that's in a completely different area." And we were just like being like, "Oh yeah, that's that woman that always like dresses kind of outlandishly." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll accept that. Thank you." Actually, they turned out to be very nice guys and not creepy at all. So I actually have a tendency to dress quite outlandishly in my normal outfits. But I know a lot of people feel comfortable doing that, which is totally understandable and totally cool. I also grew up in a household where my mom actually had a whole chain of kids' clothing stores. So I was often put in a lot of different clothing and to model all these different clothes and different styles and things like that. So that is something that's always been comfortable for me. But I know that's not the case for a lot of people. But Disney is a place where you can kind of step out of your box. And I think when you are traveling Disney solo, you already understand what that means. You're already going to this magical place by yourself. And so stepping more out of your comfort zone by dressing in ways that you might not dress in your normal day-to-day life is actually very liberating and freeing for a lot of people. And I just love when I'm at Disney World and seeing people who I just feel like are wearing clothes that they wouldn't wear in their normal daily lives, because to me it really is such a testament to the magic and the safety and the community of Disney to be able to go outside your comfort zone and engage in these different behaviors, even if it's just wearing different Disney bounding clothes. So Disney bounding is really about wearing these kind of Disney character inspired clothes. And it has really, really become a lot more popular. I remember I was in Disneyland about 15 years ago, and all these people were wearing ears, like the mini ears, right? Everybody knows Disney ears right now. And I got a pair of ears. They're my Alice in Wonderland, Queen of Hearts ears. I posted a few pictures on Facebook with them. I only have two pairs of ears. That is one of them. And I have them hanging on my wall above my podcast sign. So I get to look at them all the time now. They're my favorite ears. And when I went to Disney World a couple years after that, I brought the ears with me to wear. And I never wore them because about 13, 15 years ago, wearing ears at Disney World was not as popular as it is now. It has definitely become a lot more popular, where Disneyland 15 years ago, wearing ears was very popular. You go to Disney World, that wasn't really the same type of trend. I feel like Disney bounding right now is one of those trends. If you went to Disney 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, I don't think Disney bounding, as we kind of understand it now, was nearly as popular. I think it has definitely grown in popularity over the last decade. And because it has grown in popularity, I think a lot of people think there are a lot of formal rules about doing it right, and that is not the case. So in this episode, I really wanted to address a lot of questions that I see on Facebook groups about Disney bounding, because I, as someone that really just loves to dress, to dress up in all these cool things, I never want people to feel inhibited to be able to dress in really beautiful ways. And those beautiful ways might also be weird and kooky and all that stuff. But the beauty comes from aligning how you look outside with how you feel inside. And that, my friends, is #solo magic. So again, what is Disney bounding? It is about dressing up in clothes that reference different Disney characters or Disney attractions, things like that. How do you do Disney bounding? Well, you wear clothes that reference different Disney characters or Disney attractions. And for me, again, there aren't a lot of formal rules, but for me, a big part of Disney bounding is this notion of a reference of a different character or a place or a ride or things like that. So I think that especially because it is becoming more popular, there's definitely more of a trend to do Disney bounding. You'll see a lot of people wear clothes that I think are more like costumes. Now, again, there aren't any formal rules, but the way I see the line between costume and Disney bounding, and this is not necessarily the same for everyone, is like, would you would you wear that outfit to a grocery store and feel kind of normal? I don't know. Is that too is that too high of a bar? I don't know. There's just like some outfits that just seem like full costumes, like you're going to a costume party. But other outfits can be like you're not going to a costume party, but it's very clear that you're referencing that particular character. But I think like a grocery store, or maybe I'm going to broaden it slightly. I don't know if anyone will really care about this distinction. But like, would you wear that outfit to Target by Disney World? Like, I don't want you to envision the grocery store by your house and like maybe the people that you see at the school pickup or drop off or whatever, or like your work colleagues. But like if you're already kind of in the Disney bubble, if you're just going to like a Target in Orlando, would you feel like that's a costume, or do you feel like this is just like a super special outfit? That's kind of how I see the distinction between costumes and Disney bounding. And a lot of times I do see people that like go full costume and they're saying that they're Disney bound. And I don't know, I think it's okay to be like, I actually want to be wearing a costume. I don't just want like outfits that kind of reference the characters. I want to just feel like the characters. Now, just a reminder that Disney actually has dress guidelines, and that especially for adults, you can't wear things that are like full costumes. You can't have things like props or accessories that look like weapons. You can't have clothing that that touches the ground. So nothing like a cape or a long skirt or things like that. You can't wear a mask that covers your face. You can wear something that looks like a costume, but you can never pretend that you are that character. So for example, you can wear like a big yellow dress because you are in a kind of a costume that looks like Belle, but if you're wearing like a big petticoat underneath it, so it really looks like a ball gown, and you are walking through the parks like that, they're going to ask you to modify that outfit. But the Disney World rules also say that you can wear things like wigs, you can wear tutus, you can even bring a lightsaber in. Although, I mean, like, maybe bring it in Dollywood Studios. It'd be weird in Magic Kingdom, but hey, I may the force be with you. I don't know Star Wars things, but I'm sure there's a cool line in there. So there are rules that, again, like indicate costumes, but there aren't rules about Disney bounding in costumes. I'm a Virgo, so I just like rules. But I think that one of the best things about Disney bounding that I don't think that you can see with kind of traditional costumes is the creativity that it takes to take so-called like ordinary clothes and turn them in to these Disney references. Because like, isn't that what going to Disney, especially going to Disney solo, is all about? Transforming, just kind of like daily needs and wants into this magical experience at this magical place. And I don't know, maybe that's a little too esoteric, but I really think that Disney bounding is part of that. It is about referencing this magic through your clothes and being creative in how you do that. If you just get like an outfit from like Spirit Halloween or a Halloween store and just wear that to Disney, I don't really consider that Disney bounding. I mean, that could be really cool and you're really excited about that opportunity to do that, especially outside Halloween. But I don't really consider that Disney bounding. I feel like using kind of quote unquote regular clothes that could be worn outside of Disney and transforming it into a way that really references Disney and Disney characters. To me, that is what Disney bounding is. And so I see a lot of people on these Facebook groups, they're like, am I doing it right? But a lot of times it's like, a lot of times when I see those questions, it isn't a huge costume that people are asking about. It is your normal clothes, but wearing them in a Disney bounding way. And, when I talked to Disney Bound Solo, she said this, and I agree with her that the best way to kind of Disney bound is to do things like color blocking. Like the colors that you associate with those different characters are the ones that you can wear. So for example, wearing like a yellow tank top and a yellow pair of shorts with like a little red belt or a red purse, you could be Disney bounding as Belle, and you don't need that big giant ball gown that may or may not be accepted by Disney security. Another really, really popular Disney bound that you see a lot, and it is such a great way to Disney bound and reference the character of Ariel of the Little Mermaid, is wearing a blue top and then again like green shorts, because you're wearing you're referencing the colors that she's wearing when she is a mermaid. Disney bounding as Snow White is also really popular, and I think maybe it's because of the primary colors. So people wear like a blue top and then a yellow dress or a yellow skirt, and then they might bring some red in through a belt or another purse. And I don't know, I always love primary colors, so I always love when I see how bright those Disney bounds are. I've seen a lot of men do Disney bounding for like Goofy by wearing like an orange shirt and blue shorts, or even Prince Eric with a nice crisp white shirt and blue pants. And again, you need that red belt. There's a lot of like red belts in Disney bounding, it seems like. I've seen a lot of Flynn Riders as well for men Disney bounding, but that is often paired with a woman who is Rapunzel. And I've seen a lot of Peter Pans as well in the last year. And I don't know why Peter Pan has become so popular, but there's a lot of really cool just Disney bounding through this color blocking. And then another way to do it is, rather than just color blocking, do kind of a mix of colors. So when I was there in June, I kind of Disney bounded, or I kind of referenced Tiana because I wanted to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I didn't get to ride it. And I wore this green dress that had flowers and some pink in it. But I also wore a crown. I also wore a tiara. And I felt personally that as soon as I put the tiara on, it like moved a little bit more into costume. And like, I had no problem. I loved my crown. It was awesome. I took a ton of pictures. But I felt like the dress itself was kind of referencing magnolias and the bayou. And so I thought the dress was Disney bounding. But as soon as I put the crown on, I was like, oh, this is a little bit more costume. But hey, again, there aren't really rules. I've seen a lot of people do Disney bounds of Louisa from Encanto because you have this purple dress, which you can also use for a Rapunzel Disney bound. So you can do a couple different characters from it. But again, it's these reference touches, and you don't need a full outfit. You can also just kind of Disney bound through accessories. So maybe you found, or maybe you got like a pumpkin purse for Halloween, and you want to do some Disney bounding when you go to Disney and you want to reuse that purse. Well, you can just reuse the purse because it's cool, or you can wear that purse with like a blue dress, and then you're like Disney bounding a little bit like Cinderella because of her blue dress and the pumpkin to represent the carriage. But like, you can just leave it there, or you can just leave it too with the pumpkin purse and maybe a pair of blue jean shorts. Like, you don't need to go all out. It's these reference touches. And to me, like, again, I feel like it's the notion of creativity, and even like a little bit of, I mean, the word that's coming to mind is secret, but I don't necessarily mean it like a secret, because at Disney, of course, like, people will recognize it. But it's something for you to be like, I'm making this choice to wear this on my body to really reference a particular element of Disney and the magic that it represents to me. And this is why I'm actually doing this episode this week, because it is Halloween week. And maybe there's times in your Disney life that you want to bring some of these ideas, some of this Disney solo magic to your daily life. And it's hard in your daily life. I know that when I worked at an office where I didn't feel like I could be very creative, there were times where I would wear outfits with little Disney touches that, like, I knew for me, that's what it referenced, that I felt like I could bring some of this Disney magic to my life, even if the conditions of my life weren't such at that moment that I could be enveloped in creative Disney magic. And so I would wear these like little touches that would reference Orange Bird, for example, or reference a princess, or reference Minnie Mouse, something that like I knew. And if there was like a Disney aficionado like nearby, they might look and be like, huh, yeah, I see you. I see those colors. And so think about how you might want to do that in your daily life as well. One of my favorite Disney bounding outfits I actually wouldn't wear at Disney World because the climate doesn't allow for it. It is this white and blue striped dress. I got it from Old Navy. You might actually know which one I'm talking about. And then on top of it, I wear this cardigan that I got from I want to say Hot Topic, maybe Cakeworthy. That it's actually a Beauty and the Beast cardigan. There are little like knitted images of Chip in it. But if you aren't, that interested in Disney, you might not notice that there's animated characters in them. But the cardigan itself is red and yellow, and there's roses. And so it actually looks quite normal, quote unquote normal, if you, again, don't look too closely at the chips, the little teacups that are in it. And I like to wear this red and yellow cardigan with the roses on it over the white and blue striped dress from Old Navy that's kind of a rough linen, because to me it really references Belle, and it really references especially that first Bonjour song at the beginning, and her outfit like of just walking through a provincial town. I love that outfit so much because for me, I feel like I am embodying Disney, even though it might not be too outlandishly Disney for the rest of the world, which is what you want in your normal day of life. I also have this other dress that is pink and green flowers. Actually, a different pink and green flower dress than the one I talked about. This one is a more work dress, although I did wear it to my first Dapper Day. It wasn't quite dapper enough for Dapper Day, but I do wear it in the office all the time. And because it's kind of a busy pattern, I can wear a little pin of Minnie Mouse with sunglasses in or on the lapel of the dress. And you can't really see it unless you look closely because again, it's a busy pattern, but to me, that's just like a little reference of like little Disney magic. And I think that those kind of touches are so cool that if you've never done Disney bounding before, thinking about how you can just incorporate these little magical touches into your outfits is kind of a foray into Disney bounding, but also a way to bring this Disney magic into your daily life. And that's why I wanted to talk about Disney bounding in relationship to solo magic, because if you don't have people around you, a community around you that really understand how important Disney is to you, then maybe wearing that importance is a way to keep it close by, like literally close to your heart, even if it's not understood or accepted by a lot of other people. Like, they don't need to know that there's a Minnie Mouse pin buried in the leaves of your dress. You know it, and that is important. So this week being Halloween, I really want to invite you, if you've never done Disney bounding before, and if you work in a place that doesn't really usually have Halloween costumes, to maybe even think about on Halloween, what is something that you could wear in your outfit on Halloween that might be a slight Disney bound touch? And maybe it's not something you would ever wear in the parks, because again, my favorite Disney bound outfit, that cardigan, is way, way too heavy to ever wear in Orlando. But maybe there's something in your outfit that references that Disney magic that could inspire your outfits and your whole packing for your next trip. Could there be some color blocking? So wearing different colors that reference a particular character? Could you wear an accessory or a pin or something else that references a particular element of a Disney story? Could you wear your hair or do your makeup in a way that maybe is a little bit outside your norm, but also references a particular Disney character? Halloween is a really good time to kind of push those boundaries. A lot of people who, never really felt comfortable with kind of traditional ways of presenting themselves or gender expression often find Halloween such an important element for growing up, because they could really push the boundaries of how they would look in public. And maybe that is part of your journey, but maybe it's not. Maybe you just want to see if you can bring a little bit more solo magic. So what would it mean just to bring in some of those aesthetic touches to your clothing this Halloween. So again, not a full costume, but just kind of like a reference Disney bound to kind of feel like what that would look like. Just baby steps, solos, baby steps. Now, if you are a full Disney bounder, then maybe you don't need those baby steps. But have you ever thought about like doing the Disney bounding clothing in your normal day-to-day life? I don't know, just something to think about. I'm going to go back to the parks right now to talk a little bit more about Disney bounding before I say goodbye for the day. And I just want to reference Disney bounding in groups, which is obviously not something that you need to think about as much when you're going to Disney solo. But you might see a lot of pictures of people Disney bounding as couples or as groups, and you might feel hesitant to do your own Disney bound when you are by yourself. Now, I have talked to a lot of people in the solo stories who have talked about Disney bounding by themselves and how wonderful it is. In fact, quite a few people, when I've asked them to like send pictures of themselves for the covers of the solo stories, have sent pictures of themselves Disney bounding. And so I just really want to put your mind at ease that you do not need to do like full on group photo to do Disney bound. Now, I see a lot of people that do Disney bounding of like all of the Winnie the Pooh characters or all of the characters from Inside Out because like, you know, if you were all together, then the reference point for all of those characters make more sense together. But if you're just wearing a pink dress, for example, people might not know that you are referencing or Disney bounding as Piglet. And so if you're worried about Disney bounding, but you don't have a whole group of people around you and you definitely don't want to like do a full costume, then again, think about those accessories. So if you wanted to Disney bound as Piglet, you could wear your pink outfit, pink t-shirt, pink shorts, or a pink dress, something like that. But then to reference Piglet a little bit more, since you don't have Pooh and Eeyore and everyone else around you, maybe you can wear a little pin that is Piglet or of a pig, just to do that extra kind of reference. Joy is also, like Joy from Inside Out, is also a really popular character to Disney bound as. But if you don't have all of the other emotions around you, maybe it's just like you in a cool dress rather than you Disney bounding, and you don't want to wear a wig or something. Well, you could wear like a blue headband to reference her hair. You might want to have like a little sparkle pin on or a sparkle purse on to reference the like sparkliness of Joy. Like you can do those reference points. And here's the other thing. Whenever you are Disney bounding, the coolest thing is to go and find a character or like just a background where you can go take those pictures. Because like, I don't know, maybe you don't want everyone to like compliment your outfit. Like I don't know how you want to interact with people when you're there solo. But I always really love having photos at the end of a trip where I have tried to Disney bound and now I'm in the situation where I'm Disney bounding. So like, again, taking a picture in front of Tiana's Bayou Adventure when I'm wearing a dress that I feel like references the Bayou, just to like capture that little moment in time as like kind of like a little collage of you and the reference point. And if you go and meet a character that you are Disney bounding as, you can let them know, but they'll often have a really good eye for that too. And, you know, one time I met Mirabelle and I wasn't Disney bounding as her, but I was wearing a dress that had flowers on it. And she immediately like mentioned the flowers that I was wearing and like used that as a focal point to have a conversation with me. It was actually like a really awesome conversation with Mirabelle because we talked about like sewing and I don't know, I didn't sew my outfit, but we were just like, she was talking, I don't know, it's so wonderful meeting characters. Don't worry, in November, I'm going to talk all about character interactions. But it's so great when you go and meet a character who is the character that you were Disney bounding. And so definitely don't worry that you were there as an adult. Don't worry that you're not there with a big group of people. Go and meet these characters. And if you're worried that maybe your references are too subtle, just be like, hey, I'm Disney bounding as you. And I guarantee you there won't be any character that are like, are you? Are you sure? They will not. I promise. I promise you they will not do that. So I guess what I want to like end with Disney bounding, especially this week being Halloween week, is that I think that it is such a wonderful expression of what I think Disney solo magic is, which is referencing your imagination and your creativity and your stories that are in your heart and in your head, and wearing them and proudly wearing them. And maybe you're proudly wearing them at Disney World, but also I encourage you solos to proudly wear them in your daily life as well. And maybe Halloween is a good way to practice that. So let me know what Disney bounding has been like for you if you have done it, or this Halloween, what it might feel like to Disney bound at your office or your place of work, like what that might be like in your daily life to bring in some Disney touches. I have found that so many of the like new casual clothes that I've bought in the last like 2 years have been Disney referenced, like sweatshirt. So when I am home, like right now, I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse sweatshirt. And yesterday I was wearing this really awesome Haunted Mansion sweatshirt that I had. And like right now, I feel like I've got to a point where I can't hide the Disney from my normal clothes because like there's just so many of them. But when I am working in an office, I like bring in some of that magic to remind me of this repository of stories and happiness and creativity. Again, I've been using that word creativity a lot, that I carry with me, that isn't where I'm working, but that I carry with me. And I really hope for you that if you are engaging in Disney bounding, it's a similar introduction or reintroduction or reminder of the magic of Disney and the creativity that you bring to your fandom. So, so many of you have been messaging me. Again, I apologize if I haven't been getting back to you as quickly as I should, but please, please, please let me know this Halloween if you do any Disney bounding in your normal places of work. I want to see those outfits. I'm working from home these days and writing a book, so that's why I'm wearing a lot of like sweats. I don't think I'm doing anything. Oh no, I'm going to a cool concert, actually, a classical music concert on Halloween. And depending on what I wear, I'll post my picture too, but it'll be late. So you'll see it on November the 1st. But I want to end this episode not talking about Halloween, actually, talking about something that's happening on Halloween. Also, Diwali is also happening on October 31st / November 1st. But so yes, happy Diwali, happy Halloween, but I want to give a special shout out to all the solos who are doing the Food and Wine Marathon this year that is happening over this weekend. I know some of you are doing it for the first time. I am so, so proud of you to be doing that, especially for the first time. That's like a really big thing. I know my body is definitely not conditioned to do any running. And while I do like to do a lot of things at 3 a.m, it's usually because I haven't gone to sleep yet. So to wake up to run at 3 a.m, is like terrible. It sounds like awful, but I am so, so excited for you to do the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, the marathon, like all of it. I just hope you have the most wonderful time. Congratulations for doing it. And I cannot wait to hear about how your experience is wound up at the end of it. So again, for all of you solos doing the Food and Wine Marathon this weekend, have a wonderful time. Happy Halloween, happy Diwali, and we'll talk to you next week. It's American election. Again, it's not going to be a political episode, but it will be a special episode to reference, well, to like not bring any more stress to your life. All right, anyway, bye. Hey solos, it's Samantha. I hope you enjoyed this episode as well as all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic. It has been so wonderful to create this podcast content for you and to help build this community of conversations about solo travel to Disney. And I really, really thank you for participating in the conversation. It would be even extra awesome if you could participate in the conversation by letting other people know that this conversation is happening. Please make sure you subscribe to the podcast, rate it, share it with others, and even providing a review helps the algorithm let other people who are interested in Disney content find out about this podcast. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Facebook, although Instagram is the best way to get in touch with me. My Instagram handle is Disney_solo_magic_podcast. And you can find links to all that social media content in the description of this podcast below. Thank you again for sharing the magic of solo travel to Disney, and I can't wait to keep creating content for you. Bye!